I hope you're enjoying this Nightside podcast. This is Dan Ray, the host of Nightside. I'd like to invite you to join us every weeknight from 8 to midnight for Nightside on WBZ, Boston's news radio and iHeart radio station. Every month, we here on Nightside, in conjunction with the news team, we focus on a very important charitable institution in the greater Boston area. Some are big, some are small, deal with a variety of issues. And this month we're profiling the Carroll Center for the Blind, which I think most of you know is out in Newton on Center Street. With us in studio is Greg Donnelly. He's the president and CEO of the Carroll Center for the Blind. I believe that Doug Cope also did some news reports this month. And this is an hour we devote 1 hour a month to WBZ Cares. And Greg Donnelly, welcome to Nightside. How are you tonight?
Thank you very much, Dan. It's such a pleasure to be here. We're so grateful for the opportunity to speak with you and the general public. And the Carroll Center for the Blind, has been around for over 83 years. And so I'm thrilled to be here today to talk to you a little bit about the center, what we do.
I'm familiar with the Carroll Center for the Blind, and I know the work you do, but I want other people to better understand what's going on. Your own background, you have been the president and CEO since August of 2016, but before that you worked in a similar capacity, an administrative capacity, at another great New England institution.
Yes, that's correct. I was 19 years at the Mass Eye and Ear in Boston, unbelievable specialty hospital. And I left there as their executive director of clinical services.
And of course, they also deal with eye issues. And so you've transitioned over to the Carroll Center for the Blind. And that is exactly what this great organization has dealt with, as you said, since 1936.
That's correct. It was a great transition. I learned so much from the Mass Eye and Ear. So to go over to the Carroll Center for the Blind, I was well prepared. Not to say I haven't learned a lot, and at a very close proximity with our clients and their family members.
So who are your clients? Who are served by your institution?
So we serve all ages and all stages of vision loss. So both the blind and vision impaired, from 0 up to 100 plus years old. So we serve in the school systems, in the work environment, colleges, in the community, and in the homes.
My understanding is you have about 120 employees, and many of them suffer from some level of vision loss. Give us an idea a little bit about what programs are available. If there are people out there tonight who are listening and who don't know what the Carroll Center does, give us an idea about the services that are available through your organization.
Absolutely. Out of the 120 staff members that we do have, over 20% of them are blind or vision impaired themselves, and many of them are past clients. Our services include vision rehabilitation, which includes independent living and vocational programs, transitional programs. We do a lot of assistive technology and computer training, educational services and community services in the school systems. And we also have an incredible low vision clinic and low vision store right on campus in Newton.
So some people are born without vision, and others lose it at some point during their life, either for genetic reasons or they can lose it through horrific accidents. Give us an example of the type. I assume all of those categories are covered by you.
Absolutely. In the hospital world, I was really, my background was seeing a lot of the medical eye diseases. When I went to the Carroll Center, I witnessed firsthand some very traumatic, loss of vision due to car accidents, heart attacks, mini strokes, gunshot victims, believe it or not. So that's where, I really have learned a lot at the center, that our eyesight is so fragile, and at any moment, any one of us at any age could ultimately become a client of the Carroll Center.
Oh, sure. And diabetes is something that potentially affects our vision, and there's a lot that educationally needs to be done. Look, we're going to take a break. My guest is Greg Donnelly, and we're talking about the Carroll Center for the Blind. Been around since 1936. It was originally the Catholic Guild for all the blind, but it was renamed the Carroll Center for the Blind. A founder was a Catholic priest, Father Thomas Carroll.
That's correct.
His name still is there today. We'll get into all of that. It's in just doing a little bit of research, and I didn't do a lot of research here because I know a little bit about it, but I guess there are a lot of people originally who came home from World War II who benefited from this great institution.
That's correct. That was really what Father Thomas Carroll was known for in the mid 40s, serving blinded vets. And then after all the veterans were served, he demanded, and worked closely with the federal government that to make the Carroll Center the first blind rehabilitation center for civilians in the country.
All right. He is Greg Donnelly. He is the president and CEO. If you have any questions or if you've had experience with the Carroll Center for the Blind, Greg is going to be with us until 11 o'clock. Love to have you join the conversation, 617-254-1030, 888-929-1030. Too many of us take for granted not only our good health, but we take for granted our ability to hear and our ability to see, and obviously our other senses as well. But I can't think of a sense of the five major senses which is more important than our vision. And if you have any questions, feel free to join the conversation. We'd love to have you come on board. We're coming back on Nightside right after this.
Just say, "Hey Alexa, play WBZ News Radio on iHeartRadio to get Nightside with Dan Ray on WBZ News Radio 1030.
This is WBZ Cares. My name is Dan Ray. This is Nightside. You're listening to WBZ News Radio, or WBZ Boston's News Radio, Boston's news station. Got to say that correctly. Right here on WBZ 1030 on the AM dial. And we're talking with Greg Donnelly, who's the president and CEO of the Carroll Center for the Blind. Been around 83 years and has done a lot of great work. I guess you serve, the statistics say, about 4,000 people a year?
Yes, we did. We provide over 5,000 services to about 4,000 individuals of all ages each year.
But this is not a school. This is not a boarding school, not like Perkins or anything like that.
That's correct. We're not your typical K through 18 or K through 22
So
school.
what do you, give us a quick example of some of the broad services that people can benefit from, and we'll see what people have to say when we get to phone calls.
Sure. So over the summer we serve children from the earliest ages, from say 3 years old all the way up to 20, 21 years old, in different programs throughout the summer. Then we have adult programs from September through June. So independent living, rehab. We have 20 beds, residential beds on campus, where our clients will come in and learn many different skills as often a newly blind individual.
So these have to be people who have lost their vision for whatever reason.
Yes. Mostly are legally blind or blind. Many of them have significant vision loss or are transitioning to blindness due to whatever type of eye disorder or disease or
macular
trauma
degeneration.
that she has. Yeah. Macular degeneration is one of the most significant that we see. Diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma. So these eye diseases run the gamut.
I'm interested in the kids who you serve in the summertime. These are children, you said, between the ages of 3 and what?
And 20, 21 years old in different programs.
Okay. And these, when you think about the summer camp, you think about activities, and you think about kids playing soccer and soccer camps. Kids go to hockey camps or basketball camps or football camps. What are your activities for these children?
So we had 60 children apply for our summer program last year, and we only had 20 beds. So we leased 2 very large dorm houses from LaSalle College in Newton, and I'm happy to say no child was left behind. We served all 60 children. And the different age groups, the teens, for an example, do a lot of real world of work. So they're introduced into a work environment for the very first time, their first job, they get their first paychecks, a lot of job coaching and internship placements. Mm-hmm. so that they can.
So you work with companies,
Yes.
who utilize the service, the work skills of these kids as they develop. Are there any specific companies that have been particularly generous to you?
Absolutely. Cambridge Health Alliance, Mass Eye, State Street, IBM, Kronos, Newton Wellesley Hospital. There's so many great partners that we have. Tufts Health Plan. There's over 40
those
partners.
are the teenagers. Okay, what about the kids under 13, 14, under 12, 10, 11?
The young kids are coming in for the first time around others with blindness. So, one of the big aspects of becoming and transitioning to blindness is social isolation, which is often more disabling than vision loss itself. And so these kids are now amongst their peers learning braille, learning communication, learning sometimes personal management, how to take care of themselves now that they're blind. And everything from cleaning and dressing and matching their clothes and managing a schedule, their school schedule, their home schedule.
What percentage of the kids who you deal with in the summertime so-called mainlined in school these days?
The majority of them are in the public school system. So that's what makes us unique as a center. We have teachers of the visually impaired that serve 83 school districts across Massachusetts and surrounding states like New Hampshire. And these teachers go into the classroom and provide direct instruction and accessibility instruction and accommodations, work with the special ed departments to make sure that these young students get the same educational opportunities as their sighted peers.
My guest, Greg Donnelly. He is the president and the CEO. He's going to put his headset on now and get to some phone calls as well. Your funding, I assume there must be some government funding, but also some private support?
Yes. The majority of our funding does come from state and federal funds. We do get some funding from the school districts that we serve, and based on the students that we serve in those districts. But we're really dependent upon philanthropy and fundraising efforts. We try to raise about $1.5 million or more a year just to get to break-even budget, because state and federal funds do not cover all of our expenses.
How big an annual budget do you have?
It's about $6.7 million a year.
So you're looking for about 25% of your budget through
correct
through private support, and there are corporations, and I hope, and individuals, philanthropists who are helpful.
They are. There's some great foundations and grant opportunities, individual donors. We receive some very charitable gifts and bequests as well.
Sure. Okay. I can't think of a better organization. Let's get some phone calls. Going to go to Christine first. Hi, Christine. Thank you very much for calling in. WBZ Cares. I'm on with Greg Donnelly, who's the president and CEO of the Carroll Center for the Blind. Go ahead, Christine.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Christine, is this the Christine I'm thinking it is?
Yes, it is. From Norwood, yep.
Oh, wonderful. So good to hear your voice. And I was thrilled not only to see your progress while you were a client at the center. You did some amazing things. Now you're living independently and actively employed. And we even connected during Sail Blind activities in Charlestown. So, very proud of everything you've accomplished, Christine.
Oh, thank you so much. And a lot of it is due to the Carroll Center, because I know when I went there, it taught me a lot more independence that I needed to know to be able to get my apartment and live independently and then do the other extracurricular activities that I love to do.
Say, Christine, this is Dan Ray. Let me ask you if I could. Did you lose your vision at what age, or were you born without vision?
No, I unfortunately lost my vision due to a traumatic brain injury. My birth mother dropped me as an infant.
Oh, my goodness.
So I basically have never known normal sight. I'm legally blind, so I have tunnel vision.
Yep.
And I basically can see one part of one thing at a time out of one eye. I can use both eyes, just not at the same time.
Really? Okay, so you have instead of looking at what everybody normally would see or regularly would see, a landscape. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like looking through a funnel the wrong way. You figure your eye is a small part and you see the big picture.
Yep.
Well, for me, the funnel's turned the other way around and I see a little pinpoint.
Okay, so now, how long were you helped at the Carroll Center? From what age to what age?
Well, I was an adult, so I went there. Well, I did get some assistance when I was in school, through elementary, junior high, and high school with the teachers that go into the schools and, got a little bit of cane training with a mobility teacher when I attempted college. And then when my sister decided to sell our family house and I went into looking for my apartment and then getting my apartment, I went to the Carroll Center for 3 months, did the independent living program, which was a great help because it taught me everything that my mom and my friends couldn't teach me because they didn't know how to do it the correct way.
Yep.
And it wasn't their fault, it's just they didn't know how.
And what year did you complete that program?
It was about 3 years ago, so 2017. Yeah.
So you are living independently.
I am.
At what age, if I could ask? You're never supposed to ask anyone their age, but I'm going to ask you.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm 50 years old.
Okay, and you also went to college, I heard you mention?
I attempted college. I didn't graduate. I went there for like a year and a half, and then I left that because it wasn't working out for me. So I've done a lot of volunteering over the years, with different things, and I'm still volunteering.
Well, you seem extremely well spoken.
Thank you.
I'm stunned that you tell me that you sound like you have a PhD in language studies or something like that. But so you literally have been, for all intents and purposes, blind since a few weeks old or a few months old?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when the accident occurred.
Yeah.
I just know it occurred during infancy.
Oh my goodness.
So I've basically grown up this way and had to adapt and deal, and it's kind of difficult when you're asking directions and people point and they say, "Oh, over there," and you're like, I'm sorry, you got to be a little more specific.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things I learned a long time ago was that if you do meet a blind person on the street, my instinct always is to sort of maybe take them by the arm or help, but I learned a long time ago that that's not appreciated. How should people treat you if they see you walking down the street, and obviously you're using a cane to make sure that your path is not cluttered? What's the best way that people could help you with directions or just navigating the streets? Tell us what works best for you.
Okay, so if they could just say hello to you so you know where their voice is coming from instead of trying to grab you, offer the assistance. Say, "Would you like assistance crossing the street?" If they say yes, they'll tell you how. They'll say, "Okay, I will take, your elbow or whatever."
Yep.
If they don't need it, they will just say, "No, thank you," and that's it. You just leave it at that.
Okay.
Because honestly, to be grabbed is not a good thing because you're kind of insulting the person.
No, I totally get that, and I think it's good that you reminded us of that. Christine, you're a great success story. Thank you so much for taking the time to call in tonight. Honored to talk with you.
Thanks, Christine. Pleasure to hear from you, and hope to see you soon.
All right, thanks a lot.
Bye, Christine. Thanks. You mentioned, Greg, that there are a lot of folks associated with the Carroll Center who listen to Nightside and listen to radio or television generally, correct?
Absolutely. You have a great listenership, and we have a lot of radio listeners, sports fans, and we have lots of fun at the Carroll Center with all those activities. But it's important that, like Nightside provides great information to the listeners out there, and this is an opportunity for us that truly could be helping so many that may be home and unaware of the services that we have available to them.
Well, that's what we're hoping to do. We'll keep it rolling here. My guest, Greg Donnelly, the president and CEO of the Carroll Center for the Blind. You can join the conversation. We got a bunch of calls. We're going to get to everybody. Please be patient. We'll get to everyone. I promise. Coming right back on Nightside.
All right, is it my turn now? Because I think we should, for once, say what we really mean. Danny. You can trust him. Say what you want.
Here's a real Danny Ray saying what he wants to say.
Dan Ray.
WBZ, it's Nightside Radio.
WBZ News Radio 1030.
We're going to go right to the phones. We have a lot of calls, and we'll try to handle as many as we can. Frank, you are next on Nightside with Greg Donnelly, the president and CEO of the Carroll Center for the Blind. Go ahead, Frank.
Hello, Dan. Second-time caller.
Well,
Hello,
you.
Greg.
Thank you.
Hello, Frank. I recognize the voice because it's a voice that I have listened to many songs, and you have a unique skill playing the guitar that is just amazing.
Why, thank you very much. I just want to say that I hold the Carroll Center in the most highest esteem. The faculty, the staff, everyone there. I met some great people there, and I love it.
So, Frank, did you lose sight at some point, or?
I was born with an eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, and it's gotten worse over the years. It's like attachment of the retina, and if I even got that right, but yeah.
So how much vision, if any, do you have in either eye?
I barely. I mean, I either see white, black, or gray. I can't make out faces. I can't read anymore.
And when did this condition really get bad for you? Was something
I was
dealing with it all your life?
Yeah, I was born with it. I wasn't diagnosed till I was 6, and then it just gradually got worse over the years. And by the time I was like 37 or 38, it really got bad.
And what has the center, for the Carroll Center, been able to do for you? How have they helped you?
Oh, they helped me with mobility, getting around, because I've been hit by cars like 3 times over the last time was 30 years ago, but I'll be, that'll never happen again. But
and you've developed a music career or musical skills.
Oh, I think music has saved my life. You know, I've been playing guitar since I was 12, and that's what keeps me going.
Now, do you perform publicly, or is it something?
Not as much as I'd like to, but I've performed at the Carroll Center quite a few times, graduations and whatnot, and they had a great open mic series over the winter. That was great. And my girlfriend Sky actually is an employee there, and she has a sight problem as well.
Good for both of you. Well, Frank, thanks for calling in, because again, stories like yours are so important, because it makes it tangible for my audience. It's one thing to say this is a great charity and they do great work, but when you hear from people like you and Christine, it really makes it. You understand it, right?
Oh yeah. Plus, I was a client there 4 times since 1987. So. And the Carroll Center's done wonders, so.
A return customer, as it were. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks, Frank, and keep up all the great skills you've learned.
Thanks, Greg. You take care. Take care, Dan.
My pleasure. You call. Make it a 3rd time pretty soon, okay? Thanks, Frank. Have a great night. Let's go next to Steve. Steve, how are you tonight? You're on with Nightside with Dan Ray, along with Greg Donnelly, who's the president and CEO of the Carroll Center for the Blind. I hope Rob has told you to turn that radio down.
Oh, definitely. I started at Perkins. I could see. I could read large print. I wanted to learn braille, and they said, "Oh, you'll never need it." Now I'm 51. My eyesight's really going bad. They say you're going to the Carroll Center. I was like, "Who, me?" They taught me a lot of skills, but they really taught me confidence And after I left, I'm now gainfully employed. I'm working for the MBTA. I do work from home. I'm going to be publishing my third book. So I really think the Carroll Center and anyone in the legislature listening, I'm a taxpayer now. That's what it's all about. We want to be members of society, contributing, and I think that's the mission of the Carroll Center has always been independence. And yes, I learned a lot. I learned the technology, which I will always be grateful for because my site everything's really blurry. It's probably going to get worse. But with the Carroll Center, they taught me confidence, courage. The Father Carroll, that's a great book. Everyone should read it. I am just so blessed to have had that experience because without it, I would have been sitting on a couch and feeling sorry for myself.
So you work for the T. What sort of work do you do for the T, Steve?
I make sure they're doing the stop announcements. I'm an ADA compliance tester. I kind of fancifying the title, but basically make sure the ramps work, make sure the stop announcements are going, and it keeps me out there with the mobility skills. So I'm actually practicing getting around outside and meeting my observer that I'm working with, and so I'm actually getting paid to keep my skills up. So it's a great fit.
Oh, that's great, Steve. Boy, that does sound like a great
That's
fit.
such a pleasure to hear that come from you, Steve. Thanks for sharing that very much. And we'll continue to work very hard to serve others like you that are in need. And I think you hit it spot on. We need all the support we can get from our legislators who have been very helpful to the center. But your story is very heartwarming, and there's so many like you. So thank you.
Well, if I win the Powerball, I'll send you a check.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate your call. Good luck with the Powerball. I firmly believe that this could be any one of us today, tonight, tomorrow, next week. And with all the money that we spend in a $42 billion budget here in Massachusetts and a federal budget that is now north of $4 trillion. We spend money in lots of ways, but I think we need to primarily spend money initially that at the head of the line should be people who are born with or incur disabilities, folks who are American citizens, and I don't want to sound xenophobic in any way, shape, or form, but there should be a priority to take care of the people in this country who, through no fault of their own, have found themselves in a situation of great need. And some might perceive it as limitation. I think it's great need, meaning if you give them some help, they will turn out to be someone like Steve. And that's my thought on it. And again, I'm not trying to get political here, but it's so frustrating when I think the amount of money that gets wasted, whether it's in the defense budget or it's in all these other federal and state budgets where you find out this went here and this went here. These are the people who need to be taken care of. Go ahead.
You're right, Dan. The unemployment rate for the blind and vision impaired nationally since I think the early 70s has been between 72 and 75%. But there's a lot of people like Steve out there that want to come and get the training they need to live a very independent and self-fulfilled life and become a taxpayer, just like you and I. And that is a great area for those to offer their support.
It's just so important. It's just so important for all of our politicians that they listen to every group that has a concern. Well, what about, again, Americans, people who are here, naturalized citizens or whatever? They need to be helped as much as possible. Manny, you are next on Nightside with Dan Ray and Greg Donnelly of the Carroll Center. Go ahead, Manny.
Hello, Dan. How are you doing, Greg? Yes, I was at the Carroll Center. I'm a graduate in 1998. I lost my vision when I was 41 years old to diabetic retinopathy. And I didn't know anything about the Carroll Center, but the Mass Commission for the Blind assisted me to go there. I went for 16 weeks. At first, I had a 2-week eval program they had there, which I told them what I needed to work on. And then I went there for 16 weeks, and Monday through Friday, came home on the weekends. And they taught me the independent living skill and computer skills, which I needed because my motivation was to get back to work. That's what I wanted to do because I had a full-time job previously before I lost my vision. And I wanted to go back to that job, but they had other ideas, so I had to find other employment, which the Carroll Center helped me get with the training that they gave me there. And I owe it a lot to that school for where I'm at today. And I wanted to thank the Carroll Center for that.
Well, Manny, I want to thank you for taking the time to call. It was just a very powerful presentation of what people can accomplish. I can't imagine, and I hope I never have to imagine, what it would be like to lose sight. And to try to navigate this world without the benefit of vision. And again, all of us who have vision need to empathize and understand. Just imagine for a moment what it would be like to get up and walk out of the room where I work right now without sight. I'd be tripping over chairs. I'd be tripping over tables. I'd be bumping into things, and I would be so frustrated. So congratulations to you, Manny, on your independence, and thanks very much for taking the time to join this conversation tonight.
And I just wanted to thank two people at the Carroll Center for me, Heather Thomas, newly married, and John Robichaud, who's helped out a lot in the field for people that are blind. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Manny.
Thanks, Manny.
Well, isn't that great? I hope that Heather and John are listening. 617-254-1030, 888-929-1030. We're coming right back on Nightside.
Be prepared for your day with the WBZ Morning News. Right now, Nightside with Dan Ray on WBZ News Radio 1030.
We're going to get everybody in. I promise. Go to Jake. Jake, you are next on Nightside with Dan Ray and Greg Donnelly of the Carroll Center. Go right ahead, Jake.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
We're doing great. What's on your mind, Jake?
Well, you've mentioned it a couple of times. I met the Carroll Center by accident. I woke up one day, drove to work, and lost both eyes in a traumatic accident.
Oh.
No idea about blindness. I went to the Carroll Center.
How old were you, Jake, if I could ask when this happened?
I was 31 years old.
So you're heading to work, perfect vision, you get into a bad automobile accident on the way to work?
No, I was at work. I had a industrial accident at work.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep, 5:30 in the afternoon, not that I remember. But I spent about 5.5 months at the Carroll Center, went through their independent living program, their job market preparation program, and as Greg said tonight, it was just incredible what they were able to teach me, the socialization of being with other blind people. You realize you're not alone. And through the skills and the confidence I learned at the Carroll Center, I was able to start my own business called Follow a Dream, and I am actually the world's only totally blind crew chief in the world of motorsports, and I'm a motivational speaker, and it's all due to the Carroll Center.
How old are you now, Jake?
52.
So this happened 21 years ago.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, if you don't mind me asking, what sort of industrial accident? Were you working with chemicals or something, or what?
No, I had a forklift wheel and tire assembly explode in my face.
That'll do it.
It was what I call a bad day at the office.
I couldn't agree with you more. Boy, Jake, what a courageous guy you are. You have not given up, and certainly the Carroll Center never gave up on you.
I'd like to thank you, Jay. I want to let everyone know that Jay is a good friend of the Carroll Center. He comes back every summer and more to speak with the youth there and tell his story, and about perseverance and many from depression to success. Jay says it right from the heart, with lots of tears, lots of emotion, but with lots of support and direction for the youth that are going through, similar aspects of vision loss that Jay went through himself.
Is it Jay or Jake? I got it up here on the board as Jake. Is it Jay or Jake?
Jay.
It's Jay, J-A-Y.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for calling in. I got another few phone calls I'd love to get to, but inspirational. Nothing short of inspirational. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Let's go next to Barbara. Barbara, you are next on Nightside with Greg Donnelly of the Carroll Center. Go right ahead, Barbara.
My mom suffers from macular degeneration, and I look at the Carroll Center as being so inspirational. I want to ask you, Greg, how can we, the public, help you? What can we do to make a difference?
Well, let me tell you about our signature event. We have an annual fundraiser called the Walk for Independence. Our 7th annual Walk for Independence is coming up April 28th, Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Show up in force. Come join a great inclusive event. It's dog-friendly, guide dogs, family dogs, friends, loved ones, but also spread the word. So there's so many ways you can help the center. A family member, a loved one, a neighbor in need, a colleague at work. If you know someone that has lost their vision, the sooner they get to us, the better off they'll be, and we can help them. But
I participated in one of those walks for independence just a few years ago. It's a great event. It's a great day, great time of year, a lot of fun.
So you know what I'm going to tell you? I will be there, and I'm going to challenge everybody who's listening. Come with me.
We'll also give the website before the hour is up. We're coming close to the end of the hour, Barbara. But thanks for reminding us. That was a well-timed call. Appreciate it, Barbara.
All right. Have a great night.
Thanks. Barbara. Let's go to Kimberly. Kimberly, you are next on Nightside. Boy, the phone calls keep going here. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Kimberly. What's on your mind? We got about 3 or 4 minutes left. I'd like to get you in at least one more in. Go right ahead.
Okay, I agree with that woman. I'd like to get together and go over there, too. But I also want to know, I would like to donate a significant amount of money to that place. So what do I do to do it?
All you have to do is you could reach out to me personally by calling the center, 617-969-6200. Again, my name's Greg Donnelly. You could also visit our website, www.carroll.org. That's CARROLL. And there's resources to connect online and by phone. That's so gracious of you and generous of you. Thank you very much.
Well, let's try one more. Let's go to Joe. Joe, you are next on Nightside. That's a tough call to top, Joe. Go right ahead.
Yeah, how you doing, Dan? I am glad. I've heard a lot about the Carroll Center. I know, Steve, I am blind. I'm one of the ones that fell through the cracks, Greg. I wish I could have gotten the help. I wanted to work in a call center as an answering machines. I've been here for 30 or 40 years, and Dan is right. I think it should be mandatory that every blind person, it should be made to go to the Carroll Center and get treatment, regardless of whether he has a learning disability or not. I'm one of the ones, Greg, that fell through the cracks. I'll call you. Maybe I can get some help someday.
All right, absolutely. I'll help you in a heartbeat. Just give me a call.
All right, Joe, we got to give that number. I'm going to try to get, I don't know if I can get one more in here. Thanks, Joe. Okay, I'm just going to try. Let's. Chris, can you be real quick for us? Chris, are you there?
Yes, I am. Just a shout out for the Lions Club. I'm one member of 1.2 million members of what Helen Keller referred to as the Knights of the Blind.
Yep.
And I think the Lions Club needs a shout out because of all of the hardworking individual efforts that are made in charitable endeavors day in and day out.
No problem. I'm glad you joined the conversation. Thanks, Chris.
Hey, very good Lion friends. Thank you.
Let's give it. Carroll.org is the website. CARROLL.org. And the phone number is 617-969-6200. And if anybody hasn't gotten those numbers, if you want to call in during the news, Rob will help you out and give you that information. Greg, this was a great hour for WBZ Cares. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you for all the listeners and the great feedback.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to our podcast. And, of course, feel free to tune in every Monday through Friday night from 8 until midnight East Coast time for the live broadcast of Nightside. I'll end this podcast as I end every program. All dogs, all cats, all pets go to heaven. That's where my pal Charlie Ray is, who passed in February of 2010. That's where all your pets are who have passed. They loved you and you loved them, and I do believe you'll see them again. Hope to see you again. This is Dan Ray.